Welcome to another Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. I am Benjamin, and today I'm going to share with you a theme. So this is a small group of banknotes. It is by no means representative of every note available with this theme, but it is some nice banknotes that I have, and I wanted to share them with you. The theme, if you haven't figured it out by now, is related to crustaceans on banknotes. And I'm going to share with you 5 notes that I have that have some crustaceans on them. They are mainly African and South Pacific. So they do exist on other notes. So it's something you'll want to keep your eye open for. But here's what I found out whenever I used Wikipedia and some of the banknote sites and individuals online to find out a little bit more about crustaceans on banknotes. I guess you can tell I thought of this whenever I was hungry. And crustaceans are one of my favorite side foods. I mean, I like to think I like chicken and I love macaroni and cheese, but you just don't get between me and some seafood. Let's just put it that way. And especially crustaceans. Crustaceans are invertebrates. And they are mostly bottom feeders. So whenever I've called them sea roaches or, toilet feeders, I'm really not too off base because they are the detritus vacuums of the water. Most are aquatic, but there are some terrestrial crustaceans. Any of y'all remember playing with roly-polies growing up? Crustacean. Fossil records of crustaceans begin in the Cambrian Age. And I was fascinated to discover that in addition to how old they are, approximately 8 million tons are harvested for human consumption. And that's like on a yearly basis, y'all. That's a lot of crustaceans. Crustacean, the word, first entered the nomenclature in a valid way in approximately 1772. There are about 67,000 described species thought to be in existence today. However, that 67,000 of them have been described just means that they are a tiny portion of the crustaceans that have yet to be discovered. Insects and crustaceans are thought to be sister groups, which makes sense. They're both kind of creepy to me, if you ask. Krill are not so popular of a crustacean for human consumption, but I have had dishes when I was in Korea that had little itty-bitty tiny crabs and shrimp, and they were spiced, but they were itty-bitty tiny. And it's believed that krill could be turned into a possible food source. And I promise you, with the right dip, I'd be game for it. So I love crustaceans, and some of the banknotes I have with crustaceans are some of the most beautiful banknotes in the world. Let me refocus this picture so that you can see the whole thing. There, I know I'm taking too long, but y'all are worth the effort. Okay, so here we go. There we go. I want you to see the note pretty well. First note I want to share with you is a Cook Islands $20 bill, and this is a Pick 9, and the crustacean that appears on this note is a coconut crab. You see it right there. But this note has a lot of other things that would make it worthy of exhibiting. Apparently, little birds, dugout canoes, and here it looks like the fishhook of Maui, but it might be a vegetable at the same time. Looks like it might be a pepper plant. I don't really know. It looks interesting, regardless. And let's see what's on the back of this Cook Island $20. We have a church. And those of you who are in the know, the whole reason Cook Islands has a note with the church on it is because their first 20 and their first 3 did not have a church on it, and it had people in the altogether, male and female, and it's considered very naughty to this day. The people of the Cook Islands were so horrified at the collectability of their first notes that they had to make sure that their godly heritage was honored on their second series of note. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if that's true or if that's just enhancing the note, but You can see for yourself. Go to Numista and look up Cook Islands banknotes. All right, let's move on to the next note with a crustacean. And we're going to be traveling from the South Pacific to Africa. And we're going to be looking at a Cape Verde 500 escudos. You can guess by the name in the Portuguese language that Cape Verde used to be a colony of Portugal, and you'd be guessing correctly that it is. And no, the crustacean on the front of this Cape Verde note is not this gentleman wearing glasses. The crustacean that appears on this note appears on the back of this note. It's a lovely little port scene, and you see water and you see boats in port. So there's a lot of popular things to collect, and at first blush you might be like, where's the crustacean? But if you look here, you got a very big, very multicolored crustacean right here. At first blush, I thought this crustacean was an offset register, but there is no crustacean on the front of the note that it could be registered with. It's just colored as if it was an offset register, but I think that's what that device right there is. So you have a crustacean there, and that crustacean is actually somewhat of a mystery. In my mind, it looks a little bit like a shrimp. You know, a shrimp that's happy and not curled up because it's been cooked, but a shrimp nonetheless. If any of my fans have a better idea of what that crustacean might be, let me know. I'll be sure and update Numista so that we can all know what crustacean is on that fish, or on that banknote. We're going to stay in Africa and check out this Madagascar 1,000 franc. Or, like they say in Madagascarese, Ron Jato Arieri. And forgive me for my pronunciation, because as you know, I'm from Oklahoma, and we don't know how to talk. That's what I've been accused of. But on this colorful note, we have little shells up here. We got boats, we got sails, we got a young, I'm assuming Madagascarian here on the front. And it's a pleasing, balanced note. What crustacean appears on the back? Well, we got a whole bunch of crustaceans appearing on the back, and it fits in nicely with the fact that this is a fisherman scene. We have a young maiden in the foreground holding a basket full of crustaceans, and we have fishermen in the back pulling in their nets. It's a lovely note. Lots of things. And over here it looks like we have some coral, so it's kind of a sea garden. And I may be wrong, but I just noticed that it looks like Finding Nemo. So we got some clownfish here. I don't even know if there's other notes that have a clownfish. To be honest, I didn't know that this note had clownfish until I just noticed it. I was always caught up with the fact that we have here crabs, and it looks like we have some lobster, and it looks like there might be more than one kind of lobster. Maybe that's a spiny lobster. You know, the kind that look like a giant shrimp, and so they sell them as a lobster, and everybody's like, ooh, I get to eat a lobster on the cruise, and they're thinking it'll be this one, and then they get to the main dining room, and it turns out it's that one. I mean, I can eat that one just fine, but don't tease me with the lobster and then not give me this lobster right here. The blue color might indicate that it has not been cooked just yet. But here you go, lobsters and crabs on a Madagascar banknote. We're going to stay in Africa and move to the islands of Seychelles. And I like Seychelles because it sounds like seashells, and that's another theme I like to collect. Let me center the note for you. This is a 25 rupees, and they just always have beautiful notes in the Seychelles. And this one has a lovely flower in the middle, and then a lionfish right over here, which my understanding is they're eating a lot more of in Florida and places, because as beautiful and exotic as a lionfish is, it is an invader fish and has been destroying reefs and local fish life. So you might learn how to eat some fried lionfish, but none of these are the crustaceans. Let's see what the crustacean is on this Seychelles note. Oh, I think you might have seen this Seychelles note before, because you have a whole series of cowrie shells up here. You have some sort of bird over here. It looks kind of like a pigeon, but I don't know, because I'm not a bird person. So let me know. And can you guys see the crustacean on the note? If you're looking right here, you're right. And this crustacean is actually the same as the crustacean on the first note I showed you from the Cook Islands. This is a coconut crab. So the coconut crab seems to be a widespread note, or a widespread crustacean. And the final note I'm going to share with you in my crustacean theme on banknotes is also from Africa. And this one is from Somalia. And Somalia has issues with how it treats its people and, you know, their civil war and their gangs and all that. But they did have some pretty notes back in the day. And this is a back in the day pretty note. This is a 500 shilling from Somalia. You see that it's actually from Mogadishu in 1989. And it shows a fisherman, one would presume, fixing his net. And here's a fisherman paddling out to sea, apparently. Here's a group of fish that they might be catching. But right here is one of those rock lobsters, or, you know, giant shrimp. So there's a crustacean right there that looks positively delicious. I can almost taste the drawn butter. Now take a look at the back side of the note. I'm not seeing that there are crustaceans on this note, but it does have Arabic writing, which is a beautiful calligraphy, if anything else. And it looks like a place of worship. And, you know, lots of words. It's a nice enough banknote. I enjoy banknotes with crustaceans. If you like them, press the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. Can you add to my crustacean list? Hope you can. I'm Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. Feel free to comment, cuss, and discuss, and keep me posted about crustaceans on banknotes.